So here's the deal. Did I almost fail data structures? Yes. Did I also get a 24% on the data structures final? Also yes. However, did I end up becoming a software engineer at Microsoft? Yes. So it all works out. Hi everyone, my name is Glory Valentine Kanes, and today I'm going to be talking about how I almost failed data structures, but still landed a job at Microsoft 3 years later. I am starting this channel because I feel like there is a gap in tech content out there. I majored in computer science in college and I struggled. I had a really rough time in my computer science classes. I did not think I was good at coding. I did not think that I was smart, and I felt really alone. I would look onto content on YouTube. I still couldn't relate. I didn't see anybody who was failing their classes or doing poorly in school and making it. What I've learned over the past 5 years is that these classes do not define you, and that time in college does not define who you are as a software engineer or how smart you are, and I want to debunk that. Something that's really important to me is creating a very supportive and welcome space for women and other underrepresented groups in tech. And I would like to bring light to the fact that you are not alone if you are struggling with computer science, and I'm here to help and show you that if I can get a job after almost failing, you can too. Before college, I had done the program Girls Who Code, which I will talk about in another video. I love Girls Who Code, it's my saving grace. And I had taken AP Computer Science, but I had gotten a 3 on the AP Computer Science exam, and I had no idea what the fuck was going on. I basically came into computer science knowing what a string and an int was, maybe a function, and not even an array. Maybe making one of those really basic HTML websites, and where you can use very basic CSS to make it a bold header. That was it. I went to school at the University of Southern California, and I majored in computer science and business. And I was coming into school with people who had taken computer science classes their entire life. A lot of kids who go to USC are from California, and so a lot of those students are from the Bay Area or even in Los Angeles and have some of the best high school programs in the world and in the country when it comes to tech. These people came in knowing a lot more than I did. Some of my close friends even took data structures in high school. Now, if you are in the computer science field and you are in college or studied computer science in college, you know that data structures is the hardest class anywhere you go to school. They make it brutal. It is supposed to be 40 hours a week of work. Isn't that a full-time job? Last time I checked, it's a full-time job. Cool. Data structures is usually used as a weed out class to weed out students who are deemed unfit for computer science. Which is interesting actually, because according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, I'm pretty sure that there is a gap in the amount of tech jobs available and the people that can fill them. There are more tech jobs than people can fill them, and that's only gonna increase. I think it's gonna increase 20% in the next 8 years, until 2030. So it's interesting that you actually wanna weed out students when there's jobs available. Make it make sense, I don't know. Almost a third of the students who take USC's data structures class actually fail out. They either drop out or fail out. What happens is you have students who come in with a lot of experience. Now, these are students who went to really great high schools, and they also happen to be a lot of guys, because these are guys who have been into computer science for a really long time. And so what happens is when that 1/3 fails out of computer science, it happens to be a lot of women and other minorities and underrepresented groups in tech. And then data structure starts bad times. I essentially blacked out for the entire semester. So I'd set my resources up because I knew I was going to need help. So I set up office hours with my professor once a week. I would go into the computer science lab. I set up a friend group in computer science so that we could all, study and work together. I had my class at 8:30 twice a week. I went to every single class. I didn't miss a class. And I had no idea what the fuck was going on. The first assignment, 57. 57 on the first assignment, straight out the bat. Anytime I wasn't in class, I was working on data structures, coding, assignments. And I still was doing so poorly. You become afraid to start the assignment. I would finish the last assignment, which I would have been exhausted over, and then the next one would come out that next day, and I would be too scared to start it. I would refuse to open it up for 3 days because I was terrified. And we know that that is just fear of failure. I remember I was in the lounge with my friends after our first midterm. We get the midterm back, it's curved, right, as most computer science classes are, but they all get 70s and 80s on this test, which is an A or an A minus. I get a 42% on the midterm. That was pretty much the entire semester. The passing grade for data structures at USC is a 50%, which is a C. If you get a 49%, I watched as my friends decided to drop out of computer science. And I just saw it right in front of my eyes and I was like, this could be me. This fully could be me. The entire semester I was thinking, if I fail this class, the thought of taking it again sounds so miserable. Just absolutely horrible. And I stayed in computer science and I majored in computer science in the first place because of my experience with Girls Who Code, where I learned that if I wanted to make change or make impact, I could use technology to build something for good. And so I really wanted to have a computer science degree. I really wanted to learn computer science. But the thought of retaking data structures made me sick to my stomach, literally. I was so stressed out during this period of time that I started to get really bad stomach aches. I didn't know that it was because of stress at the time. I went to the doctor. They thought it was stomach ulcers and they gave me steroids for it. That's how stressed out I was. For the final, I needed an 18% to pass. And I remember my friends being like, oh, you're fine. 18? That's so low. Lo and behold, I got a 24%. So I passed. I ended the class with a 53%. I passed by 3%. I was working my ass off. And this is the thing. People think that if you try hard, you are going to succeed. That is not always true. Because if you come in with very little computer science experience, for the most part, it is going to be hard compared to the students who have a lot of practice. Even though I was working so hard, it was not clicking. I was under too much stress, it was too much work, it was too much pressure, and I could not understand the material. So much so that I actually went to the dean of the engineering school at USC and the computer science department and talked to them about changing the way the course was structured, which we can also discuss another time. This is not a fun story, but I want to speak on it because it is the reality for a lot of students. And here's the thing, I have friends who have failed the class and then they took it again and then they did incredible and they're the smartest people that I know. And if I were to ever start a business, you know who I'd want to start it with? Them. Because they are resilient as fudge, and so am I. However, what I don't want to say is what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I didn't have to go through that, and neither did the rest of the kids. And at these schools, neither do you. And I understand that there's a lot of discussion on this, which is you need to make it hard because the people who won't work, whatever, blah, 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 blah. The people who won't put in the work will drop off at some point. Sure, but you do not have to make it that difficult so that you have these bright students who want to learn fail. I am the biggest advocate for a supportive environment being the best place to learn. I have gone through different places, been in these very intense environments that are super stressful, big pressure cookers versus supportive ones, and I thrive in those supportive environments. And maybe not everyone does, but a lot of people do, especially if you're coming from an underrepresented group where you feel like you're carrying your entire community on your back. 3 years later, I am working at Microsoft as a full-time software engineer. I'm heading into month number 5 soon, and I'm kind of good at coding. Not kinda, I have been doing well. Freshman year me never would have thought that I would get a software engineering job. The point of this channel is to show that you are able, you are deserving, that you are smart as fudge, and that you are not alone. And the system around you might tell you otherwise, but you can do it. I wish that I could have heard a story of what somebody older than me was going through that was realistic, because I did not think that I was going to make it to the other side. And so I'm going to talk about getting IBS from stress. I'm going to talk about how TAs were rude and how professors didn't believe in me. And I'm going to talk about the really great things and how I was able to crush interviews. I was able to learn so much during my internships. How I was able to make friends with people in the industry and learn from them. How I was able to gain that confidence in myself. I'm trying to show a realistic portrayal of the journey to becoming a software engineer and try and help other people along the way. So hopefully you'll come back and tune in for next time, and I'll see you later.